And so the most important thing about thriving is creating the life you deserve and desire. And everyone in this room has that opportunity as well. If you're not happy in your job, don't go home and moan about it. Make the changes. Create the life that you want. Don't wait for something to come along and smack you upside the head like a 2x4, aka cancer, to make those changes. Because we have the opportunity to lead by example with our patients. And here's the deal. Cancer comes along, and a lot of people have baggage in their life. You know, not everybody has an easy, breezy life going along, and so they've got baggage prior to cancer. We don't always know what's packed in that baggage, but they've got baggage. They may have a bad marriage or a stressful job, or a lot of really nasty people they have to go to work with, or kids with issues. So our patients have to learn how to pack the baggage and get rid of it. So here's the priorities. We have to teach our patients by example. And if you in this room do not make yourself the most important person in your life, you can't care for yourselves, your family, or your patients. And you can't tell your patients to make themselves the most important person in their life, because then you're not leading by example. And I was bad, I'll tell you. For years, I would tell my patients, you've got to exercise, you've got to eat right. I was trying to promote all these things to help prevent cancer recurrence, to promote healthy living, and I was being bad because I was really busy living my life. And in 2007, I had my mammogram in February. It was fine, it was wonderful. In April, 10 o'clock at night, not the time to do a breast exam, ladies, let me tell you. Do not do your self-exam at 10 o'clock at night. I feel this lump in my breast, and all of a sudden, I just wanted to throw up. And I'm going, okay, God, I just opened a hospital. I'm trying to provide great care to patients. I understand these life lessons, like this isn't funny. And so I did what every self-respecting surgeon does. The next morning I went to the office and I scanned myself. Had a tough time hitting the color flow button, but I did. And I had a solid vascular lesion at 12 o'clock behind my nipple, and I was like, oh my God. And this was one of those big whisper moments in my life, and I actually started to pay attention. So my partner did my biopsy a couple hours later, over lunch break, of course. Saw all my patients in the morning. It was the first day I finished on time at 5 and 12. Had my biopsy done, and for 48 hours, while I waited for that pathology, I said, oh my God, this is what my patients experience. And I had everything planned out. I knew exactly what I was going to do. I knew how I was going to treat it. And I said, all right, God, I promise you, I am going to start practicing everything that I preach. I'm going to take more time for me. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to do stuff. And I got back a benign diagnosis. Pseudoangiomatous stromal hyperplasia. God love Pash. But it was one of those moments that changed everything for me. Because although I had been telling my patients for years to make themselves the most important person in the world, I wasn't doing it myself, so I was being a little bit of a hypocrite. So now I exercise 4 days a week. I get up at the crack of dawn. I go to the gym. I eat a healthier diet. I really plan my life through the week so that I can stay healthy and stay connected. I take time to do yoga, meditation, things that really bring me a sense of peace. And so I'm urging you to do the same thing, because let me tell you, it is not fun to get that scream in your life. I was only screaming for 2 days. I was only screaming in my head for 2 days. And that day when I found out that I didn't have cancer, I said, thank you, God, for giving me that whisper, because I will pay attention. And so, if you don't make yourself the priority in your life, you can't care for your patients, your families, and the ones that you love. So, I have nothing against Lindsay Lohan, okay? But when I tell my patients to take care of themselves, it's like, well, isn't that being self-centered? I said, no, being self-centered means you think that the world revolves around you. What I'm talking about is centering on self, getting to a place where you realize that you need to take care of you and what matters in your heart. If any of you don't have these in your life, you're lying. They are the people, the patients, the doctors you work with sometimes, the administrators, the people that you grew up with, who were your friends, that when you walk in the room, you feel them attached to your jugular vein, and they are the energy vampires. And energy vampires are not nice because they suck the life out of you and give you nothing back in return. And I'll tell you, after my benign breast biopsy, I was ridding my closet of the energy vampires. I feng shuied them out of my life. And it's a whole lot easier when you don't have to deal with the energy vampires. So get rid of them. This is a really important one. Say you're sorry. There are a lot of times in our lives that we do things that we may not be proud of, that we may not understand why we did it. But if you say you're sorry, it's an important thing. Because if you don't say you're sorry, you hold on to it. And so you got to let it go. And forgiveness. This is the toughie, guys. Forgiveness is tough because it's something that we do for ourselves, not for other people. And one of the hardest things I ever had to do was find forgiveness for the guy that drove the car that killed my brother. When you think, how can you find forgiveness for someone like that? And you know what? There, by the grace of God, there's not a person in the world that could potentially have one glass of wine too many. I mean, if we think that we live in a world like that, you're just dreaming. Because no, I don't think anyone ever goes out and intends to drink so much that they kill someone. And it's a horrible life lesson to have to learn. And I've always said, you know, as bad as it was for us to lose my brother, living with the guilt of killing someone because of your irresponsibility. And so that was the toughest thing for forgiveness for me. And I'm sure some of you have things in your life that you probably need to forgive others for. But don't put it off. Got to get it out of the way. And self-love. This is another really difficult one. Because so many of us have these expectations of, I could be thinner, I could be in better shape, I could eat better, I could do whatever. You got to love exactly who you are at this moment without judgment. And sometimes it's very hard for our patients because their self-image changes when they've gone through cancer. They don't look exactly the way they did before. They may not have their hair, but they've got to learn that self-love. And they learn that from us as well. Because self-love is something that only you can do for you. And you've got to love yourself for exactly who you are right now. And gratitude. Gratitude is a way to bring more love into your life. Gratitude is about waking up in the morning and being grateful that you're the one going in to treat someone with cancer and you're not the one that's being treated. It's something everyone in this room can be grateful for each and every morning. Because there, by the grace of God, it could be any one of us. And so few of us are grateful. I hear every day about how bad the economy is, how bad this is, how bad that is. And I would like to have the GNN, the Good News Network. I would like to get up in the morning and hit the clicker and have the Good News Network come on and find out about, you know, the fireman that got the cat out of the tree, and find out about all the good things that are happening in the world, not about which terrorist we took out today. And oh my God, now we're on the state of alert at the airport because they're pissed off that we took out another terrorist. I want to get up in the morning and be grateful about something. And so if anybody out here has connections, I'd like to start the GNN. This is a pink rose quartz heart. This is a token that I give my patients. Years ago, I would give my patients a pink breast cancer ribbon from Avon. And I still have some of them that are wearing them 20 years later, and they're all, the enamel's all off, and they're not gold anymore, and they really look nasty, and I've offered to replace them, but no, you gave this to me when I was diagnosed. And I thought, oh, well, I don't really, you know, at the time I was doing the best I could with what I knew, but I didn't get the fact that that's a symbol of cancer. And there's nothing wrong with the pink ribbon symbolizing cancer, but I wanted my patients to have a symbol of healing. I wanted them to know that I was invested in their healing. And because pink rose quartz is a stone of self-love, it's a way that I get to give my patients a hug every day when they're not with me. They can pull it out of their bag and they can hold it in their hand. And it creates that connection. And it was a silly little thing, but I can tell you, if you went to a support group at my hospital, every single one of my patients has them in their pocketbook. I've had a couple patients who've lost theirs and come to the office hysterical, and they said, listen, somebody else needed it. It's okay, I can give you a new one. You know, whoever found that heart needed the life lesson of self-love.